see if they're alone, if the Big Ten and Pac-12 are alone here in the next few weeks, and if they are, I'll still always expect until I see them on the field. I won't expect them necessarily to be 100% playing until like next fall. Like I'm going to preview the heck out of the fall or the winter season. That's what I'm going to do, and I'll throw out some depth charts, and then we'll do some previews, and we'll talk about it here. But I'll still be waiting, checking, my emails and whatever to hear like, oh no, we're just not going to be able to make it because practice is going to start in December. I'm wondering what happens with basketball. Steve is talking about playing football during March Madness. Basketball practice starts in October. How can they be practicing if football can't? How can they be playing in November if football can't play until January? So what happens with Big Ten and Pac-12 basketball if they have 16, 18 games? What kind of season will that be as they head into March Madness? Or it could be May Madness next year if everything gets pushed back and the basketball season gets pushed back. So maybe that wouldn't be too bad to have some basketball later in the year, because I think we all agree probably it should start later in the year, start once football is over, because I don't need to be covering two sports. Granted, I'm not covering any sports right now. I don't need to be covering two sports at the same time. We'll see how that goes. But I don't know what happens in November when basketball is supposed to be starting, because can you have basketball if you can't have football?
Yeah, I think the key to having basketball or having a winter football season, to me, is the numbers are going to need to go down. And I think what we're going to see on these campuses, as we're seeing at North Carolina, is the numbers are going to go straight up for a while, and then they better go back down and flatten out a little bit and, go from there. So I'm not an epidemiologist. I just did one on the internet, but it seems to me that if they can calm it down and even not necessarily even have the vaccine, but just calm the numbers down to where the risk is infinitesimal, if people take the proper protocols, then, we'll see. But college campuses are going to be hot spots, and there's just no way around it. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how, those schools that are playing football are going to juggle having guys constantly in and out of the lineup all season long, because Nummy on their dorm caught it and now they've got it, and for sharing, a bar of soap or something or whatever. So who knows, but, or going to a party or whatever it could be. But, it just, we are in uncommon times. That is for sure. We are in uncharted territory, and darn it. I mean, I would have thought by this point, at 52 years old, I would have seen it all. But this just reinforces that there's no way you're ever going to possibly see it all, because something new is going to happen to change your perspective. And how are we going to look back on this? It's going to be shaped on how the season goes for those schools. And really, I think for Ohio State, you look at 2021 and, there's been no talk about that yet. Are they going to flip the Big Ten schedule back to what it was supposed to be this year? That would create a problem with the jigsaw puzzle of the non-conference scheduling, because you might have 8 home games next year and only 6 the following year or whatever. You're going to have to start flipping those games too. And I don't know that they're going to want to do that. So do they keep the schedule status quo, or in that spring season play the schedule that was supposed to be played for 2020? I guess that's what they do, and that's how you get around it. But I don't know that Ohio State's a top 10 team in 2021 with a brand new quarterback. So even if he gets to play 7 or 8 games in the spring, I'm still not sure, with everything they're going to lose off of this team, I'm not so sure that they're a top 10 or maybe a top 5 team. I don't know. I guess depends on how that youth grows up. Like if they roll through everybody in the spring, then you'd have to put them back up there in the fall, provided they did lose somebody who was integral to the progress, a Master Teague or a CJ Stroud or whoever it may be. You can't afford to lose one of those key guys in the spring. But if they play football, there's always that possibility that somebody's lost, and so that's the risk you're going to take if you play in January, February, March.
I'll say this though, and I mean, I'm walking up to the line at some point with the politics of this. I think that honestly, if we're waiting to a point of where the risk is zero, we're never playing again. The genie is out of the bottle. It's just not going to be to that point. I think that there's a big deal in terms of the legal aspect of what happens if an outbreak happens because of a sponsored university sporting event, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're talking about something that has a very low rate in terms of the demographic of 25 years old and younger, and so on and so forth. So it really leads me to the point of what is it that, I mean, what is the point that we are trying to reach to where people in charge, and I use that term loosely, are going to be satisfied? Where do we have to get to on that? What do we have to do to get there? And I don't think any of them know at this point. And if they do, they're probably not being honest about it. So, is a vaccine around the corner? We've never really had great success with vaccines for the flu before. Everybody's slapping each other on the back if we have a 30% efficacy rate on a flu vaccine, and we're really expecting this to turn around. So, I'll end this, kind of this free flow of thoughts with this. I just don't know what's going to be different in January than is in October. And I desperately do want to see Big Ten football this year, even if it is a little bit, quote unquote, watered down in terms of losing some of your star power. I just really can't get behind the decisions being made by the power brokers in the conference of kicking the can down the road to January or March or wherever it may be. I just think that they have other motives in play here in terms of not being honest. All right, in terms of what of why why we're delaying.